Emma Jo, thanks so much for coming on the U.S. Report. Now, just 2 weeks after an illegal migrant was charged with sexual assault against a minor in Virginia, a panel of MSNBC's lefty all-stars mocked the state, check this out, for its concerns over illegal immigration. This is unbelievable.
I mean, if you look at some of these exit polls, I mean, I live in Virginia. Immigration was the #1 issue.
Yes.
I mean, again, these could change in Virginia.
Well, Virginia does have a border with West Virginia. Very, very contested area.
Build the wall. Like, what?
How horrendous and how out of touch is this, Emma Jo Morris? The media class versus people who have real concerns about all sorts of horrible cases we've documented here and so many other people have been talking about across the U.S.
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say on that Joe Scarborough comment, the Morning Joe clip, you actually clipped out the part where he says that Joe Biden was born atop a sacred mountain and that under a double rainbow, and that there was a new star that was born at the same time to mark the occasion. But you know, getting to the issue that we have here, I mean, obviously MSNBC, that's a joke. MSNBC is just the Democratic / establishment media. They don't, I mean, I think that on paper they do have the pretense that they're supposed to be somewhat objective or you know, have toned down opinion, but they are completely off the reservation. You know, if a foreign audience is watching this, I just want to confirm that MSNBC is off the handle, and they have been for many years. But in any event, yeah, Rachel Maddow would compare, or I should say dismiss, the illegal immigration issue and compare it to sharing a border with West Virginia, because to be fair, in Rachel Maddow's life, West Virginia is a bigger impediment to her desired society than illegals, because she has no interaction whatsoever with them. Rachel Maddow basically lives in kind of like a protected community. You know, whether she's in a posh area in New York or if she's in Arlington in Virginia, she doesn't see this stuff. But what she does come into contact with is West Virginians and their pesky voting patterns. So she would have a bigger issue with that, because she has trouble controlling them, whereas the illegal immigrants are kind of just something that she hears about and never comes into contact with. But here's the thing. Rachel Maddow can't come to terms with the fact that despite, you know, Virginia not being a border state, the illegal immigration crime issue is all over the country. We have 8 million illegals that have entered this country since Joe Biden took office, and that's just what we have on paper. And they don't all just sit in Texas. They're going all over the country, including to the northern border and trying to get into Canada. Upstate New York is grappling with the illegal immigration problem. So, you know, this is classic for her and really illustrates how ignorant our elite press is. I mean, she's a Rhodes Scholar. This is not a stupid person, yet she is just so out of touch that she doesn't know what she doesn't know.
Well, yeah, Rhodes Scholars, though, you know, we've had a few experiences with Rhodes Scholars in this country as well. But Emma Jo, have a look at this, because migrants completely know the score on this much more than MSNBC. Have a look at this guy who was filmed down at the border.
Es el presidente y la vicepresidenta de los Estados Unidos.
Ah, pero entonces ya lo traigo aquí para que me dejen entrar.
Now, that was a guy on the other side of the barbed wire. He had a Biden-Harris T-shirt on saying, you know, hey, I'm wearing this. They've got to let me in now.
Yeah, you know, I had a crazy experience with this, actually. I wrote a long first-person column about a year ago when the first bus of illegals came from Texas to New York City, which is where I live. And I went and interviewed one of them to kind of understand what was going on. This was just at the beginning kind of this saga. And I said to him, it was the summer, and I said to him, why did you come in the summer? Because in the summer months in the desert in Texas, it's scorching. You can die there on that journey. And I asked him that, and he said, Biden. He said Biden. And I couldn't believe it, because it was like, I couldn't believe that it wasn't a plant or something, because it was just too perfect. But that's it. They've gotten the memo, and they have the impression now, which they're right. You know, Biden has tons of power to clamp down on this, and he's refusing to use it. I have my own ideas about why, but they understand that now is the time, because especially given the polls, I don't know how closely they follow politics, although I know that the cartels that are bringing them here do. Trump has a pretty good chance of getting reelected, despite all of his legal woes and despite all of the lawfare against him. He does have a pretty good chance of getting elected, and he's talking about not only building a wall this time, but he's talking about deportations for the millions of people that have taken advantage of this administration, this current administration. So they know that they have a window, and a very specific window, and they get in 4 years, or it's going to be a different story.
And Emma Jo, one of the things, too, is, everyone portrays a lot of these people, and I'm sure there are just economic migrants who want a better life, like so many people, but there are terrorists and there are criminals and very dangerous people who have been caught coming through, and people on terror watch lists. And I want to connect this to another story, because you live in New York, and there, Governor Kathy Hochul has sent National Guard troops down into the subways to patrol stations and conduct bag checks on commuters. Now, I lived in New York in the bad old days before Giuliani. This was never contemplated. I mean, is this about just trying to send a message about crime? Seems like a very expensive way to do it. Or is there other concerns here that they may be trying to look for or prevent some other more serious threat that we don't know about? All speculation, of course.
Yeah, that's a scary idea to entertain. This thing is also stupid, and it's stupid for a number of reasons. First of all, yes, crime has gone up since the city has welcomed all of our millions of new neighbors, and these are in the thousands per week. I think it's 4,000 per week or something crazy like that. So yes, that obviously contributes to crime. There's also non-violent crime that occurs with the illegals, especially on the subway. For instance, child labor. If you sit on a train in New York, you'll see it's very common to see children who are 7, 8, 9 years old trying to sell things on the subway, sell candy. And it reminds me of Mexico, and that is a cultural thing from South America where they send kids out to work. So there's crime like that. But the National Guard thing is especially stupid because New York implemented a bail reform law just a few years ago, which basically allows criminals to get out with no bail. They basically go and get booked, and then they come out with not a cent to pay. That has caused a really big increase in crime, and especially in reoffending. And so she's sending the National Guard in while she still has this bail reform in place. And it's like, no, we don't need National Guard. We need you to keep the criminals locked up.
Look, Emma Jo Morris, I am old enough to remember when the idea of bringing in the National Guard to deal with the Black Lives Matter riots in 2020 was enough to cost you your job at the New York Times. Emma Jo Morris, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time this evening.